Of 1 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I ask that everyone please mute your lines at this time so that we will avoid all feedback. If you can see my screen, can you please type yes in the chat box? Perfect, perfect. Okay, we'll get started. Good afternoon. I am Dr. Hunter, your state homeless coordinator here at the Louisiana Department of Education. And I would like to welcome you to our Mckinney-Vento 101 training session for our new liaisons. It is a pleasure to have Ms. Laverne Dunn with me. She is our state homeless consultant, my right hand in the work of homeless here at the State Department. So she will be sharing this platform with me on this afternoon as we present to you all things Mckinney-Vento. Our schedule for today, because we have a short amount of time together, we will discuss all things Mckinney-Vento from 1 to 2 o'clock. The focus and emphasis are on our new liaisons, bringing you up to speed about all things that you should be aware of when it comes to the federal law. From 2 to 3, we will go into our regular training for all other liaisons at that time, and you'll see what's to come. So when it comes down to our training on today, our objectives for the training will be to build your capacity as new homeless liaisons on the Mckinney-Vento program. We would like to provide some historical background knowledge on the program for you, as well as build your understanding of federal obligations that exist for LEAs as well as yourselves as the liaisons, and identify some resources that are available to aid you in the work that you do in servicing our homeless population. At this time, I would like to know who we have on the line. We are very fortunate to be able to just meet with you all. I know Louisiana, we endured some severe weather conditions these last few months, and so we were contemplating on whether or not we could have it, but hey, it's being recorded for those of our colleagues that are not able to join us, and they are in our prayers and hearts today as we meet, but we will be able to send this out where they can view it at a later time. But for those of you that are new to the role, can you please in the chat box type your name, your district, and how long you have served in the position as the Mckinney-Vento homeless liaison. Don't be shy, I can't wait to see. One month, welcome, Veronica. Okay, last August, July 1st, okay. Ascension Parish, Orleans Parish. 1 month also. Okay. July 1st, Allen Parish, 6 months. 1 month. Okay, 1 year, which I wouldn't consider that new, but hey. Okay, end of July. Lafourche Parish. Kayla, how long you've been in the position? Let's see. Oh, someone says refreshers. Hey, it's always good to receive refreshers. 1 month. All right, so a lot of you all have been in the position for about 1 month. So I hope I do this training justice to have you leaving the training today feeling much more equipped and ready to go out and become super women and men in the field of Mckinney-Vento. All right, but I want you to know that you guys are not alone. You know, you started this journey and you may be saying, what am I supposed to do? Some voluntary and some voluntold, but we want to ensure that you feel comfortable and you know exactly what, when, and how it's supposed to be done. Therefore, you have some supports out there. One of the supports we have for you, we do have a homeless advisory council. And these are veteran homeless liaisons that are there to serve you, okay? And so you can find your LEA. Arlene's, you're a little bit different. We have the almighty Aisha and Carol, who services so many of you all in that area, especially charter schools. Feel free to reach out to them, and they are more than willing to assist you with any questions. If you're a little shy and feel like, okay, I don't want to call and ask the State Department this particular question, your homeless advisory council member is more than willing to help you with any questions that you might have on the ground each and every day. So let's get right into the history of Mckinney-Vento. You might say, where did this start? What is it all about? Well, this is a federal law that was established back in 1987, okay? It started with Stuart B. McKinney, and he was a Republican representative with Congress out of Connecticut, and he felt the great need to be able to institute some type of law that would protect our children. We have a lot of things out there for the adults that are experiencing homelessness, but what about the children? And so Stuart B. McKinney started to be a champion for our youth, trying to push this legislation through to say, hey, let's put something in place that will require individuals to ensure that our students that are experiencing homelessness are able to access school, they're able to attend on a regular basis, as well as be successful. And so he started this dialogue, and he passed away, unfortunately. And then Bruce Vento, he picked it up and took it to the finish line. And it's been the Mckinney-Vento legislation ever since, okay? This is a federal law. Once again, it's basically ensuring that students are having access to school, they're able to attend, and they are successful. And in this law, and you all should have a copy of the federal law. If you don't have a copy, it's almost like the Bible for Mckinney-Vento. Please let us know, and Laverne Dunn, we will be able to send you a copy as soon as we get off of the call, because you definitely need a copy of this law. In the law, it provides with you your duties as a state coordinator. It talks about our state plan. We provide assurances in the law. There are LEA requirements that each LEA are required to meet, as well as your job description as a liaison is in the law, allowable activities, things you can spend funding on. All of those things are in the law. And so we will send this out to you.
I think you're muted. We can see you talking, but we can't hear you.
Oh boy, how much did you not hear? Let's see, I don't know when I was cut off. Can you hear me now?
Just prior to when you switched to this new slide.
Oh, okay. I don't know, maybe something. All right, so outside of the law, okay, we also have a planning worksheet that kind of helps you stay on track with things that you should be doing as a Mckinney-Vento liaison. Hopefully everyone has a copy of the planning worksheet that was sent out, I believe back in late July or early August. And on the planning worksheet, it just outlines the 10 duties that you as a liaison are responsible for. So it's just a very simplified version of things that are outlined in the law to kind of give you a bird's eye view of what you are responsible for doing in your position. It's a little bit different this year. Normally, it just tells you, it just asks for what you're doing to accomplish each of those 10 tasks. However, this year, we went a step further to include the funding piece, because you guys have a certain amount of money that is allocated to service homeless students. And so we wanted to embed that into the planning worksheet so that we're all on the same track of knowing how much funding's out there, as well as what duties you will do to service our population. So please ensure, if you don't know about your funding, I encourage you to get with your federal program directors, and they will be able to share with you your budget, how much money you have to accomplish the things that you need to. Now, when we ask you to think about homelessness, okay, most of you immediately would think those images would come to mind. You would think of someone that's standing outside holding a cardboard sign saying we'll work for food, or someone living under a bridge, or in tents, or places not meant for a human being. However, in the field of education, homelessness is a little bit different than what we typically think about when we hear homelessness. Well, when it comes to the Mckinney-Vento law, homelessness is described as, or defined as, should I say, children or youth that are individuals who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. Okay, so if you don't remember anything else, those three words: fixed, adequate, regular, nighttime resident. A lot of your job will be consist of just identifying homeless students. And so this is the number one most important thing that you should really understand, is the definition. Because when you're challenged and when a student is brought before you, the first thing you're going to have to decide is this a homeless situation or not? Okay, these are children or youth that are sharing housing with others due to a loss of some type of economic hardship. All right, so they've lost their housing due to an economic hardship. The majority of our students fall in this category called doubled up. Okay, that's how we refer to them, as doubled up. Now, once again, it's very important, because the majority of our students fall within this category, that you understand that they're doubled up because of an economic hardship. They're not doubled up because grandma's a great babysitter. They're not doubled up because it's just easier to all live together so we can have more money to go shopping and take lavish vacations on the weekend. No, they're doubled up due to economic hardship, all right? They're living in hotels or motels, trailer parks, campgrounds. They're living in emergency housing, abandoned in hospitals. They're living in places that are not fit for human beings, all right? Substandard conditions. They may have a house, but they may not have running water or electricity, okay? That is still not, those are substandard living situations. So if they fall, and even migrant children who qualify as homeless that are living in certain circumstances. So if they fall under those three categories, it's not fixed, it's not regular, and it's not adequate, they would be considered homeless. So once again, your job is to ensure access for homeless students, ensure that they're attending school, and that they are successful. You might say, well, Dr. Hunter, how do we go about doing that? Well, the first thing key to identification is to utilize two forms that we have, all right? So one of the duties for a homeless liaison is to identify school through outreach, school personnel and students through the outreach. And you have student residency questionnaires that should be in every enrollment packet. A lot of our homeless liaisons take the summer to get those packets together or get those forms placed in the appropriate areas if your registration is through electronic means. But you should have the student residency questionnaire in the enrollment packet. Once the student or the parent flags, because there's a question on that form that says, are you living in a temporary situation? If that family or that parent checks yes, that is now a red flag for the homeless liaison to contact that parent and follow up. Okay, follow up with that parent to indeed find out if it's a homeless situation. And if it is, you move to the next step of doing a referral, completing a referral form. So you should be doing those steps. You might say, well, how do I notice? Some of you have systems set up where the secretary goes through the forms, and any of the forms that are checked yes, they provide them to the homeless liaison. Some of you have your counselors that are doing that very first step for you. And then some of them, you're doing it yourself. So it may look a little bit different in each liaison, but you must have that procedure in place. And this is the first step of identifying the student. So once the student has been identified, you contacted the parent, you know for sure it is indeed a homeless situation. Now you have to flag the student as homeless in your data system, okay? Each of you have a student information system that the students should be flagged in. And then there's coding that you put, reason for homelessness, so on and so forth. In the past, we have utilized the LEADS portal, which we call it HTS, to flag students and put services in. But now, this year, we have moved to EdLink, okay? EdLink is the new data system that we're using to flag our homeless students and input services. I will be sending out this presentation to everyone, and that way you'll have live links to anything that you might need as we present to you in the presentation. So you will have these live links immediately after the presentation today. So in EdLink, some things that you should know about the reporting system. Okay, a process should already be in place. You should have developed something with your data management person to ensure that this procedure happens, that the students are being flagged. So you should have a process in place developed with your local system to collect the services provided to homeless students. Previously, this data was entered manually online in HTS, but once again, like I said, we've moved away from HTS, and now you are utilizing EdLink. Student services should be entered in EdLink to show a specific homeless service was provided at least once during a specific month. All right, so there are different services that you can provide for a homeless student. You have to give note of what those services are in EdLink, so it's very important that you keep up with that. We have some liaisons that track all of these things manually, and then at a certain time, they go in and put it in the system. And then some liaisons, they go directly to the system, and every time a service is rendered, they put it in that day to be able to stay on top of it. We have some liaisons that have hired an assistant just to take care of entering data into the system, which you can do with the allocations that you have set aside. For a given student, there would be a maximum of 21 records, one for each homeless service. All systems should be submitting data in EdLink now, all right? Homeless liaison should contact your security coordinator to request access to EdLink in order to verify and view your homeless data. For your October 1 count, and this is very important, it's coming up. A snapshot of the data will be taken on November 19th. So you want to make sure that all your things are, your counts, your students are flagged in the system by November 19th. Now, this is very important because this is partially how your funding comes to you. The allocation, and I'll talk to you more about the funding in a little bit, but it's based off of your October 1 count. So this is very, very important that all of your students are flagged by that date. After you reach out to your security coordinator, if you still have a need for assistance, please email edlink360@la.gov. Okay, so that's very important that you do that if you're still having issues with EdLink. Can you please type yes in the chat box if you have been able to access EdLink at this point? If you're familiar with it, if you're utilizing it. Perfect. Okay, just want to make sure that we're utilizing EdLink. Now, just to show you, if you're not, we know what the next steps are, is to contact your security coordinator, okay? All right, so this is just a sample record of what it would look like for your services when you enter them. You know, you see the month, so you can see a service was entered in January, and service was entered in March, April, May. We see the types of services, so they're all coded. Okay, they have a specific code and the different things that you can be providing, whether it was a parent conference, a teleconference, if you addressed the behavior concern with the teacher, if you provided tutoring, those are services that should be entered into the system. All right, Louisiana homeless statistics. What does homelessness look like in our state? You can see some numbers, and I will say that over the past 3 years, our numbers have started to decrease. It's not that homelessness is going away, or we're losing track of identifying students. We've endured several natural disasters, unfortunately, hurricanes, tropical storms, on top of the pandemic. And so we find that a lot of our families have either relocated or they are choosing to go virtual, okay? And because of that, our numbers have been on a decrease. And so I want each of you to really try your best to make sure that you are reaching out to all of your families and that they know who you are. We sent out a parent engagement survey last spring, and we had over 20, I believe it was 26,000 families to respond to the survey. But guess what? 10,000 of those families said they didn't know who their homeless liaison was. So this is very important, because if you think about it, if they don't know who you are, they probably don't know about the program. And so that may be families that we're missing the opportunity to service. You might say, well, why do we want to actually label someone or call them homeless if they don't want to be? Well, because of the identification, we're able to provide services. All right, so this is very important, the identification. Once they're identified, we can provide the services that are needed. As you can see, identified the different reasons that our families are homeless. That's been identified. What I would like for you to get away from, a lot of times we might just click other, because that's the easy way to identify a family, just say, oh, they're other, because we really don't know. But please take the time out to find out why they are homeless, because this information is very beneficial for us at the state level to know these are the reasons that our families are homeless. So please try to avoid the other button or code as much as possible and actually assign a reason for your families. This year, or at the October 1 count for 2021, look, we were down to 9,000 families. And like I said before, I believe that our numbers were down from like maybe 13,000 in 2018 because of all the things we've endured with the natural disasters and pandemic. But we want to do our best to try to get our numbers back up so that we can provide services that are needed to our students. So why are you here as a homeless liaison? You know, someone said, hey, I was thrown into this position. And in many cases, many of you may have been. But guess what? I don't want you to think that your position is not important. Our students count on you. They need you. Without you, they would be lost, because a lot of them need you for the different services that you can offer. All right, so you are their voice. you are their advocate. So it's very, very important that you are there for the students. You're there because think about it. These students lack permanent housing. They're very transient. So you can be the stability that many of them need. A lot of them are living in extreme poverty. They're enduring domestic violence situations. They're enduring physical and mental health issues, as well as neglect. So the role of a homeless liaison is to stabilize the many uncertainties in those children's lives to ensure that they can be successful in school, that they're getting access, they're able to attend, and they're able to be successful. I know with everything that we have going on right now, and you can see the term at the bottom, compassion fatigue. And this is a condition characterized by emotional and physical exhaustion, leading to a diminished ability to empathize or feel compassion for others. And we might see where a lot of us might be experiencing some compassion fatigue because we're dealing with so much at the workplace and our home lives, so on and so forth. I've even had homeless liaisons to tell me, hey, Dr. Hunter, I became homeless during the last storm. So, you know, it's a challenge to say, okay, well, how do I ensure that the students get everything that they need while also taking care of myself and the needs that I have? So it's important for us all to come together to help one another so that we're not experiencing this compassion for this fatigue, because the students are counting on each and every one of you. So the role of the homeless liaison, like I said before, it's very much outlined in the law. Here are just your 10 duties. You are there to identify our homeless students. You are there to ensure that they are enrolling in school. They have a full opportunity to succeed. You're there to ensure that they have access to the educational services that are out there. You're able to receive or send in referrals for them to get dental health, dental services, mental health services, all housing services, all of that falls under referrals, okay? You're also there, in some cases, you will have to serve in the role of, we talk about unaccompanied youth all the time, being an advocate for our unaccompanied youth who may not be living physically with a parent or a relative, and assisting them through the educational process. You're there to facilitate any type of enrollment disputes that might arise when it comes to school of origin or where a student might attend school due to the need to have to relocate. So you're there for that, as well as offering professional development to staff members. And that's important because the more educated your staff members are around Mckinney-Vento law, the easier your life will be as a homeless liaison, okay? So overall, what should you be doing as a liaison? Once again, you must submit your planning worksheet. That's important. It's due by September 30th. And that's just outlining those 10 duties of what you're doing, who do you need to be in contact, and an approximate time frame of when you expect to get it done. And then make sure that you send that planning worksheet in to Ms. Laverne Dunn, our homeless consultant, by September 30th. You must be providing PD to your teachers. It's very important. Administrators, anyone that might be in contact with our homeless students. It's very important that they understand what's going on with the students and the services that are available to them. You must ensure that your LEA is budgeting a minimum of $100 per homeless student. And we'll talk about the budget in just a second. You must ensure that the homeless students are being identified, enrolled, and are attending school. So you have to follow up with your students. That's at the bottom. It's a must. You must ensure that you're flagging them in the EdLink system. And then you must be providing services to them. Remember that there is no one silver bullet for every child. Every situation you should be handling case by case. Do not say, oh, I treat all of my students the same, because that should not be happening. It's not a one size fit all. One family might need uniforms. Another family may not need uniforms. One family may need school supplies. Another family might not need school supplies. So you have to treat each situation as it comes, because they require different things. When it comes to funding, like I said before, we talked to you about the things that you should be doing as a homeless liaison. You might say, well, Dr. Hunter, where do I get the funding from? All right. For those of you that are not Mckinney-Vento sub-grantees, you should be setting aside, if you're receiving Title I Part A funds, you should be setting aside $100 per student, which is a minimum, okay, which is a minimum. So if that student comes and says, okay, I need my graduation fees taken care of, or I need assistance with XYZ, you've already allocated a portion of the money to be able to assist that child. So at a minimum, you should have $100 per student set aside. So if you have 34 homeless students identified, can someone type in the chat box how much money should be a minimum in your Title I budget should be set aside for servicing homeless students? If you have 34 homeless students in your district, good job. $3,400 is a minimum of what should be set aside to service your students. Some homeless liaisons, they set $200 per student aside. That's great if you can do that, but that's a minimum, okay? Other buckets of money that you might have is those that are Mckinney-Vento sub-grantees. Every 3 years, we put out an RFA, a request for assistance, and you guys are able to apply for additional funding to service your homeless population. So on top of the funding that's set aside through your Title I budget, you get an additional pot of money from the U.S. Department of Education to help service your homeless students. And you can see our Mckinney-Vento sub-grantees for the current cohort. Okay, we will be having our next application to open up in 2023. So if you're interested, please be on the lookout during that time, because that's when you will be available to apply for additional funding at that point. Things that you can do with your money, things that you're with your Title I set asides, or the funding that you receive from the Mckinney-Vento sub-grantee are listed here. The things that are highlighted in green are the things that we need to see more of, okay? We need to see more professional development taking place. We need to see more emphasis placed on before and after school tutoring. That's very important. Mentoring, summer programs, very, very important. These students are homeless, so whatever we can do for them outside of the school hours, it's great. So summer program is very, very important. Specialized instruction supports, that's important. Mental health counseling, that's super important. We'll talk more about that. Transportation, you know, we do that well. School supplies, we typically don't have a lot of problems with that. That's where most of us will spend our money. Hey, we spent $2,000 on school supplies, but we need to go above and beyond school supplies and uniforms. You know, think about some other things that we can do to service our homeless population. I never thought it would be a time where I would say now we're having rich people problems, because we have so much money that is being thrown at us through the CARES Act. It's like, what do we do with all of this money that we receive? Never did I think we would have that problem, but you know, we have that problem right now. There's so much money that's being put out due to the pandemic. You know, this is an opportune time to become more innovative in how we service our students. I do want you to keep in mind that when we say or refer to a student that's experiencing homelessness, as one that needs extra assistance, it's not a death sentence to those students, okay? This is just where they are for a moment in time, okay? There are families in transition. They are families that are experiencing homelessness for this moment in time. It's very, very important that we keep that in mind when we refer to our students. A lot of times we'll say, oh, that's my homeless kid, or oh, that's a homeless child. Instead of looking at it from that perspective, let's take time to say, okay, these are just students in transition. Okay, so let's be mindful of how we refer to our students. All right, let's look at some of the individuals that experienced homelessness at one point in time. And let's look at where they are now. If you needed some inspiration on today, on this lovely Monday, Tyler Perry once was homeless. He's a billionaire now. Jim Carrey was once homeless. Halle Berry was once homeless. Jennifer Lopez was once homeless. Steve Jobs, go figure. Kelly Clarkson has her own television show now. So as homeless liaisons, we want to continue to be an inspiration to our students. I know a lot of times, districts or people in leadership, they may frown upon enrolling a homeless students because they fear that their academic performance scores might go down, or the student performance scores might go down because they've enrolled a homeless student. But that's not necessarily the case, all right? We should not allow someone's socioeconomic status to define the means of where they're able to go in life. This is very, very important that we know that. All right, so when we talk about professional development and what's available, okay? What's available, because remember, one of your jobs as a homeless liaison is to provide professional development to staff members in your district. This is a federal law. It's not something that Dr. Hunter dreamed of, okay? This is something that's mandated by law. We are very fortunate to have the platform of Mckinneyvento.org to help you. Many of you said that, hey, you're 1 month in the position, okay? Some of you, one person said 6 months in the position. So what we've done is to try to help take the burden off of you and provide you with this wonderful platform to provide online professional development training to your entire staff in your district, all right? Mckinneyvento.org came about because of the new requirements in ESSA, okay, the Every Student Succeeds Act. And it's basically, we have to ensure the capacity of the staff that are working with our students that are experiencing homelessness. All right, we know that Mckinney-Vento liaisons are faced with so many responsibilities. You guys wear a lot of hats, okay, a lot of hats. And so without the support of additional resources, it would be more time that you guys have to come up with to provide this training on your own, all right? Not only that, but we know a lot of districts sometimes experience high turnover rates, especially in the liaison's position. So Mckinneyvento.org comes along to provide you with training immediately. You don't have to sit back and wait for a training to take place a month from now or a training to take place 6 months from now. You can go in right away and get the training that you need, as well as your other essential staff members in your district. And then you can see at the bottom some other states that are currently using this platform as well. The Louisiana Department of Education has paid for these services or this training, professional development training for the next 2 years. So your LEA does not have to pay for this at all. It's free, okay? It's free. It's available to all your essential staff members. They have courses, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the training, more in depth on the Mckinneyvento.org. But we want you to know that it's there. You as a liaison, it's mandatory that you take the training. There are level 1 and level 2 courses for you to take. And then you must have an 80% pass rate when you take it. There are some questions at the very end of each course. And, you know, we want you to retain what you're learning. So there are a few questions to assess your knowledge. And then you must complete all of your lessons by the 31st, May 31st. At this point, and I like to stop because we do have a few moments before we move forward. Are there any questions about Mckinneyvento.org? We're so happy to have one of the representatives from Mckinneyvento.org with us, Shalina. Do you have anything you would like to say at this time? If so, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Dr. Hunter. I really appreciate you having me here. This is an incredible turnout, which is amazing. So it's very nice to meet all of you. Some of you may know me by name because I respond to a lot of support stuff. We're a pretty small team here. So if we've met before, hello, it's nice to meet you. And hopefully putting a face to a name is helpful. But you absolutely preface this perfectly. So we actually, our offerings and the agreement that we have made with Dr. Hunter is twofold. So the first is an excellent both onboarding and in-depth training for liaisons, how to do your job, what does the law say that you have to do, and how to do it. What does that look like? How do I navigate this? And so we offer 2 trainings for liaisons, level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is going to give you an overview of the law as a whole. It's going to tell you specifically what the law says. You're going to actually read portions of the law as you proceed through it, and get really good information on what is my job. It's going to take approximately 6 to 8 hours to complete that one. Level 2 is an aggregation of resources. Now, when I say it's an aggregation of resources, it is a huge library of PDFs and information and forms and templates and things that'll help you do your job. If you read every single word of every single PDF in level 2, it would take you about 20 hours to complete. However, for the most part, that level 2, you're not going to read every single word of everything. You're going to familiarize yourself with the resources that are available to you so that during the duration of your time as a liaison, you can come back at any time to that course and access and download any of that information that you want. So it's a great resource library for you. We're super excited for all of you as liaisons to get to use this amazing, powerful resource to help you do your job better. However, one of the key parts to your job is that not only do you need to help the students who have been identified, but you need to train your school staff, everyone from bus drivers to teachers to administration, to identify the signs of homelessness so that you have those students referred to you, right? So that you can help them. Who are they? And you, as one person, cannot possibly see every single student. So we help you build an army of awareness with our Essential Staff program. It is a suite of 11 role-specific courses. Each one of them takes 15 minutes to complete. Every single staff person at every single school that you serve should access our website and register for the course that most specifically reflects the role that they do in their everyday jobs. For example, teachers are going to choose the teacher's course. Bus drivers are going to choose the bus driver course. Food service are going to choose the food service course. Media center helpers are going to choose the media center one. You can see where I'm going with this. They're going to register and they're going to take a 15-minute course. Now you might be saying, Shalina, 15 minutes, how much information could you possibly give them? That's not even long enough for me to watch an entire Grey's Anatomy episode. I totally understand. However, we give them an overview of what Mckinney-Vento is, what the law says, and then we define homelessness for them. That's what we spend a majority of our time on, just like Dr. Hunter did in the beginning of this training. What does homelessness mean? Because so many of us operate with an understanding that homelessness means a box under a bridge. And while that is true, the actual definition of homelessness is far more nuanced. And so when we equip our staff with the ability to know what does homelessness mean, then they are even better equipped to identify the signs of homelessness. We then spend approximately 3 to 5 minutes giving them an overview of how they will specifically encounter the signs of homelessness in their specific role. As you guys know, teachers have a way different opportunity to see the signs of homelessness than a bus driver does, but neither is less valuable. A bus driver gets to see who drops a student off to the bus stop. Are they showing up every day to a different bus stop? Are they super young and should be with an adult, but instead they're with another student or they're by themselves? All of these can be signs that homelessness might be being experienced. And then furthermore, a teacher in their role won't see a lot of those signs, but they have the best opportunity to build a one-on-one relationship and might be able to track hunger patterns and things like that. So because of that specificity in those roles, we've created these 11 courses to cover each role in your school so that your staff can identify the signs of homelessness and connect students to you as they qualify. So when they send you over a student, then now you've got level 1 and level 2 that help you know what to do, right? What do I do when a student is sent to me? What's my responsibility? What do I do if there's a dispute? All of those questions are answered in our training. I'm happy later on in the afternoon, if you'd like Dr. Hunter, to give a short demo of what this looks like and what they may experience. But for right now, are there any questions or anything else that I can add about the training that we provide?
Thank you so much, Shalina, for speaking to our homeless liaisons. We're so happy to have you on the call. We will have another segment on Mckinneyvento.org during our regular session. I think it's the 2 to 3 o'clock spot. So if you guys want to just think about some questions that you might have at that time, that would be a great time to address the questions. Thank you so much for that great overview for us.
Yeah, no problem, Dr. Hunter. I'll be here later.
Okay, so we're utilizing Mckinneyvento.org as a resource, okay, to help you guys build your capacity as well as your essential staff. But not only that, we have 3 other areas that you could, resources that you can utilize that's always there for you, which one is the primary resource. That is our National Center for Homeless Education, and it's referred to as NCHE. Okay, this is the organization that Ed has contracted with. So NCHE is the contracted organization. So it's almost like the parent organization when it comes to homelessness. That should be your first stop when you're thinking of all things Mckinney-Vento. There is if you go to their website, the link is provided for you. There is a section where it says topics. You can pretty much type in anything and it'll take you right there to all the resources. So you want to visit the NCHE's website. Not only that, we have another sister station. It's also our sister resource that partners with NCHE. And this, we're referring to this organization as NACE. Okay, NACE is the National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth. NACE provides a annual conference for all homeless liaisons. So I encourage you to attend if you can. This year, it's great because they have a virtual option. Normally you have to travel. We look forward to going every year. I always look forward. I think Louisiana, we always have a great turnout. I believe last year or the year before, well, when outside was open, back in what, 2019 maybe, we may have had 13 or 14 representatives from our state. So that's great. That's not typical. So we were so excited to have everyone join the conference. I encourage you, if you have not been able to register if you have the funding. You can use some of your Mckinney-Vento funds or your Title I set aside to build your capacity, because this once again will be preparing you to service your homeless students. Not only that, you have Schoolhouse Connection. Schoolhouse Connection provides several webinars, okay? You can go to that particular website and the link is there if you would like to visit Schoolhouse Connection. And they have different webinars that come up with different topics. And then it's free as well. This is another free resource that you can use and refer to at any moment to help you in your position. Other resources that are there, here are links to the non-regulatory guidance. Like I said before, following this webinar, you all will receive all of the resources together as one package. We don't want to just send you, okay, here's the presentation, here's the law, we're going to send it all to you in one package, so you will have it. And then these links will be live in the presentation so that you can visit at your own free will. For those of you that need posters, when we talk about identification and raising awareness, you can order, there's a link from NCHE. You can order your posters from there to hang up around your community, in libraries, in laundromats, in your front offices, things like that. This is where you can provide or get those or access the link to order those publications. So that's important as well. So next steps. What we want you to do, because I know we shared a lot of information with you today, hopefully it was very helpful. We would like for you to reach out to your Homeless Advisory Council members with any questions that you might have. I see that we have several on the call today right now. If you are a Homeless Advisory Council member, can you type your name and your email address in the chat box for those individuals? And I shared with you which LEAs fall under which Homeless Liaison Advisory Council member. So I know I saw a few on the line. So if Quintina, welcome. If you can type your email address, that would be great. And there were a few others that I noticed that was on the call. Okay, and as that information, once again, is put into the chat box, we want to continue to encourage you to contact your security coordinator to request access to EdLink if you have not done so at that time, in order to verify and view your homeless data. Because remember, our October 1 count is coming up, and we will be taking our first snapshot of that data November 19th. So it's very important that you obtain access to EdLink so that you can get that taken care of. Okay, and then we want to ensure you are completing your lessons in Mckinneyvento.org. We want to ensure that you get registered. Later on in the training, in our next segment, we'll give you the links as well to Mckinneyvento.org if you're in need of that, so that you will be able to register and get going. And then also come up with your plan for how you're going to provide this to your essential staff members in your district. All right, at this time, we have about 5 minutes before we transition into our next section. Thank you all. This session was for our new homeless liaisons that were new to the areas. We know that we had a lot that was in for 6 months, some that just started in July. So we welcomed you all. Are there any questions? How do you find out who your security coordinator is? You want to get with your data manager, and if you don't know who that is, contact someone in central office, and they should be able to let you know who your security coordinator is. This is the person that governs your student information system and helps with all of the data, so they should know who that person is. Okay, so I do see a question about, let's see. Okay, so if you are going into the Mckinneyvento.org website and you're trying to register yourself as a liaison, but it's not letting you register, please first contact Laverne so that we can ensure that we have you listed as the homeless liaison for your district. Because if that information was not updated, then they may still have the last person that was in that position on the roster. So we need to first make sure that we have your name correctly, and then we could get you enrolled in the system. So that won't be a problem at all. All right, there's another question. If a child resides outside of their school of origin and needs transportation, but the district was impacted negatively as experiencing a hardship as a result of Hurricane Ida, is there any leniency regarding the district having to provide transportation for students? So what we will tell you when it comes to a natural disaster, okay? When it's a natural disaster, of course, we have to govern ourselves accordingly. You know, there are things we encourage all districts to try to work with the families to determine what's the best interest of the child. They can only do so much. You know, natural disasters present a whole different level of challenges that we wouldn't normally have. In a normal situation, yes, districts are supposed to provide transportation to the school of origin, but when you're having hundreds of students misplaced, you know, that's impossible to have all of those different routes, but they should work and do as much as they possibly can to the extent that they can to accommodate that student in going to their school of origin. If they can't do that, then you should always look for other options. You know, is there an opportunity to pay for a cab for that child to get to the school of origin? And there might be some other things you can brainstorm to come up with ways to get the child there. If not, then we may have to look at other avenues of that child going to a school that might be in closer proximity due to the extent of the natural disaster. Okay, are there any other questions? If not, we hope that you have at least felt a little bit more grounded in your positions now than what you were maybe when you came on board in July, some of you 6 months ago. And then we're here, Laverne and I are here to help you in any way that we possibly can as we move forward and navigate these uncertain times. But hey, like I said in my email, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. So we will take a quick 2-minute break and we'll be right back with you to start our next session. Okay, the time is now 2:00. So we are going to go ahead and get started with our next session. If you guys can see my screen, could you please type yes in the chat box? Awesome, awesome. Welcome to our Mckinney-Vento training back to school webinar. For all of you all that are joining us on today, I see that we had our homeless liaison, new homeless liaison training starting at 1:00. Well, yeah, 1:00, and that went really well. And so they are going to continue with us. And now we have some of our veteran homeless liaisons joining us for the remainder of the afternoon. So we just would like to welcome you to our 2:00 session. I am Dr. Hunter, the State Homeless Coordinator here at the Louisiana Department of Education. And I have Ms. Laverne Dunn joining me. She is our State Homeless Consultant. And so we will be spending the next 2 hours together, just going over all things Mckinney-Vento with you in hopes that to answer any questions that you might have lingering, and to ensure that everybody's on the right track for the next few months as we navigate these uncertain times. I would like to say that our hearts and prayers go out to any districts that suffered or was impacted from our recent storms that we've had. We know that these weather conditions have been quite a challenge here in Louisiana, but we are strong Louisianians and we will persevere through it all. We will be recording this webinar, so anyone that was not able to attend will be able to get this at a later date when their power is restored and they have better connectivity in the area. We will also be sending a copy of the presentation out, so you don't have to try to take notes, because we will send that to you guys immediately following this webinar. So you will have access to the live links in the presentations, as well as any pertinent information or deadlines that you might need to be aware of. All right, so this is how we will spend our next 2 hours together. And then we will try to answer any questions that you guys might have at the very end. We do have a jam-packed schedule, so we're going to just try to get through as much information as we can so that you guys can have everything that you need. All right, our objectives for today, we would like to build your capacity of the homeless liaisons build the capacity of the homeless liaisons on the Mckinney-Vento program, introduce our support staff to you and announce award recipients. We would like to review the liaison planning worksheet, just talk to you about your October 1 count, ensuring that you guys get that in on time, share Mckinneyvento.org updates. We would like to discuss guidelines for ARP funding. So we're going to talk about money. I know you guys are excited about that. We'll provide some updates on the statewide parent and family engagement initiative. So kind of get you informed of where we are with that, share some mental health resources with you, as well as some additional resources in regards to early childhood. So we will be sharing those things with you. All right, so our advisory council, Homeless Advisory Council, meaning those individuals that are there to help support you in the work that you're doing out in the field, are listed on the screen. We'd like to thank Amy out of Lafayette, Carolyn out of Calcasieu, Helen out of Natchitoches, Petrie out of Caddo, Jody, EBR, Quintina and Lafourche, Gerald in Washington, Aisha and Carol that are servicing the Orleans areas. These individuals have agreed to be there for you no matter what. So if you guys are in need of help, you need some a thought partner, you may have questions that you need answers to, but you don't quite want to call the State Department, these individuals are there. They're willing to help. At this time, once again, I see they're on the line. If you all will type just the Homeless Advisory Council members, if you would type your name and your email address in the chat box. So anyone that would fall under your cohort or your area would have that information if they are in need, are needing to contact you to ask any questions. If you guys, the Homeless Advisory Council members, if you will type your name and your email addresses in the chat box at this time, we ask that you please do that. And feel free to reach out to them if you need to. We want you to know that you're not alone out there servicing our most vulnerable populations. Thank you guys so much. Now, we know that the work that we do each and every day out there in the field is very, very challenging. And sometimes you don't, it goes unnoticed, meaning you don't necessarily get the recognition or the pat on the back that you deserve. But one of the things that I really wanted to ensure that we did here at the State Department was just take the time, because we're so busy going through the hustle and bustle of each and every day, getting the work done, that we don't necessarily take the time to recognize individuals that are giving 150% each and every day to the students. So we always take time to recognize those individuals and let them know that we recognize what you're doing and your work, hard work is not going unnoticed. And so we have our Homeless Liaisons of the Year. That is an award that we established back in 2018 here at the state level to ensure that, you know, we just take time to give you flowers, to say, hey, we appreciate the work that you've done. And so Amy and Aisha has served as our Homeless Liaisons of the Year in those years that are listed there. And they are, once again, first-class liaisons. I am so proud to have them on the council. I'm so proud to have them out there in the field each and every day, putting in the hard work. When it comes to our homeless liaison for the 2020-2021 school year, we are happy to recognize Miss Carolyn Toots. Carolyn is our homeless liaison of the year. She is well deserving of this title. I tell you, I can't say enough great things about Carolyn. Carolyn endured the storm when we had our last hurricane, and she too at one point became homeless. And when I called to check on the students, and Carolyn's like, well, Dr. Hunter, I'm in Texas and blah, blah, blah. And it dawned on me that we're not exempt at some point, maybe experiencing homelessness due to the unique makeup of our wonderful state, Louisiana. But she persevered. She said, hey, whatever it takes, I am going to do it to ensure that our babies are taken care of. And so, Carolyn, we recognize you, we honor you today. Carolyn's name has been sent up to the national level so that she can be recognized at that level as well. We will see, she's now in competition to see if she will be named the National Liaison of the Year. We're not sure, but hey, she is Louisiana's Homeless Liaison of the Year, and we appreciate all of the work that she does for us here. Not only that, we have Miss Petrie Walker. She is recognized as she received the Sandra Mcneese Award. And this is another award that NACCE gives out to individuals that may not necessarily be homeless liaisons, but they still service our students and they still embody the spirit of what homeless liaisons do. Okay, and when I was reading through Petrie's biography, and I read through the criteria for the Sandra Mcneese Award, I said, wow, she definitely, Laverne agreed wholeheartedly, she is the one for this award. And so, Petrie, we are so excited to have nominated you. Congratulations once again. Her name has also been sent up to the national level. And we are waiting to see the results. But you know how the award show says, it's just an honor to be nominated. That's how we feel about these two individuals. They are first class, so congratulations. So this should be some inspiration to you guys to let you know, hey, hard work does pay off and it is recognized on our end. Now to the work. All right, so each of you guys received, Laverne, you're making me laugh. Okay, each of you guys receive planning worksheets that are due. Each year we have planning worksheets that you normally submit in August. However, due to all of the issues that we've had facing our challenges with the weather, we postponed it to give everyone a little bit more time to get it done. And not only that, we had some new funding that was made available. So we included a different portion on the funding stream that normally wasn't there, geared around funding. So we want to make sure that you get your planning worksheet submitted by September 30th. I do want to point out to you the funding portion of it, which is section 1, because there are 2 sections on it this year. And the first section is all about funding. If you are Mckinney-Vento subgrantee, you should be completing the first section here that says Mckinney-Vento subgrantee. If you're not Mckinney-Vento subgrantee, everyone else completes this bottom portion where it says all other LEAs. And here, all you're doing is just selecting the funding streams that you have available to you to service our homeless population. There are new funding streams. You can see the Mckinney-Vento subgrantees. They also have the option to select homeless, ARP Homeless 1. And then you're putting just the total amount of funding used. And this, I put this there, 1, to prompt you to have conversations with your federal program directors, because that's where you would get that information from, to talk about the resources that you have available, and then to look at it all together, not necessarily piece by piece, but okay, overall, this is how much funding I have available. What magical things can I do to service our McKinney-Vento students? And you move from there. The second section is none other than the 10 list or 10 duties that the homeless liaison is required by law. Okay, you guys are required by law to do. And so this is just a simplified way to say, okay, these are the things that I have to do. How am I going to address this particular duty? What does it look like? Who do I need to get involved to ensure that this happens? So this is just a planning worksheet to kind of help you stay on track of things that are required of you from the federal level. In regards to your October 1 count, and we know our October 1 count is how you get your funding, okay? So this count is very, very important. All school systems should be submitting your data now in EdLink, all right? We're no longer using the Leads portal or HTS. Everything is being done through EdLink. So you want to make sure that you're now accessing EdLink, and you should be flagging your students through your SIS system, which automatically goes into EdLink. Homeless liaisons, you should contact your security coordinator to request access to EdLink in order to verify or view your homeless data. So if you have not started to utilize EdLink, please, we're asking you to contact your security coordinator to get access. If you contact them and you're still unsuccessful, then we ask that you please reach out to edlink360@la.gov so that they can assist you a little bit further with gaining access. We do not contact myself or Laverne because we won't be able to do anything for you, okay? Your security coordinator or this particular email address provided are the entities that you contact to get access. All right, for your October 1 count, we're taking a snapshot of the data on November 19th. okay, November 19th. So we're asking that all of your students, you need to make sure that they're identified and they have been flagged in the system by November 19th. Once again, your October 1 count is what is used to provide funding. It's based off of your student count. So you want to make sure you get that, all of your students appropriately flagged in the system. All right, Mckinneyvento.org updates. Laverne, the floor is yours.
Yay. All right, and I know Shalina's on the line, and she did such an excellent job earlier with the Mckinney-Vento. So I'm not gonna say a lot, but our system did go live on August 2nd. And so you should be up and running. If you have not did anything with Mckinneyvento.org, now is the time to start. The department has paid for services for 2 years. All homeless liaisons must take the course. The course has to be finished by May 31st. It's highly recommended. We have the essential staff courses. There are 11 role-specific courses. And so it saves time for you as a homeless liaison in preparing professional development for your staff. And it's unlimited. Before, when you did it, you had to say only like 10 or 11 people could do it. But now it's unlimited. Anybody can do it on your staff. And there is no user list needed for the essential staff. However, for homeless liaisons, if you are a new homeless liaison, you must make sure that you send you your name, because we sent a list to them. And if your name is not on the list, when you go to self-register, they're going to tell you that your account is invalid. And so you'll be sending it, you can send an email to me and I can send them a list, your name, and tell them that you are the new liaison, and then they will allow you to create an account, okay? When you take the course for the essential staff and for you, there will be 5 questions. And after you take the 5 questions, everybody has to at least make an 80% in order to get a certificate. And the level 1 class, it takes 6 to 8 hours. Level 2 for the homeless liaison courses, Shalina said earlier, if you read every PDF, every reading assignment, it can take up to 20 hours. However, I pulled down the reports earlier over the weekend, and I did see one liaison that was able to complete the course in up to 8 hours. So it can take less than 20 hours. And there is no level 3. And I keep getting the question, well, I already completed level 1 and level 2. Do I have to complete it? And my answer to you is no, you don't have to do it again, but you can do it to refresh yourself, because it is different from the other courses that you took before. I'm going to do it myself as a refresher, because you can always learn something new. And again, all courses must be completed by May 31st. I can't, oh yeah, there we go. And there's a list of the essential staff courses. And these are the 2 letters that we already sent this out. We sent it out when we originally thought that the class was going to be on August 31st. So you got the 2 letters, the letters for the homeless liaison registration instructions, and you got for the essential staff registration instructions. So you already have this information, and I'm not going to read it for you. You can read this at your leisure, because I want Shalina to talk, and possibly, I think we might have time for her to do a quick demo Dr. Hunter, what do you think?
We have about 8 minutes.
Yeah,
Yes.
she has time to do that. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm going fast. And so that's the last page for that. So Shalina, could you come on right quick, please?
Okay,
Yeah,
let me see
absolutely.
if I can find you to give you.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
want to give you hosting. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. My name is Shalina Guthrie. I'm the Director of Operations with MV Learning, the creators of the Mckinneyvento.org training. And I'm super, super stoked to be here. So I already got to talk to the brand new liaisons and tell them why we're freaking awesome. And I'm super stoked that they're going to get to come in and do this training with us. I want to remind everyone of a couple of things about Mckinneyvento.org. So first of all, we not only provide training, but the ability for you to report on who has completed training. And that's going to be super, super useful, not only to Dr. Hunter and Ms. Dunn as they are looking at who's completing liaison training, but now that we are offering this essential staff training, you as a liaison can also track who of your essential staff members have completed the training and who haven't. And so that's super awesome. You might be wondering in your head, Shalina, what does essential staff mean? Essential staff is literally every single person that works at any of the schools that you serve. And when I say every single, I mean administration, all the way to teachers, all the way to food service, all the way to bus drivers, like everybody. And when I'm moving my hands like this, not one job is above another. It's just a list. Okay. So but we've got everybody covered. I have a role specific course for probably everybody. Now, you might be like, Shalina, there are more than 11 roles in my school. You're right. For example, I don't have a nursing specific course. Your nurses are either going to take the counselor one or the teacher course or the administrator course. They're going to make their best judgment. Of course, if they have any questions, we are available at support@mckinney-vento.org to help at any time. Do you want me to admit people as they're sitting in the waiting room?
No, I'm admitting them.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, it just came up and I wanted to make sure I wasn't keeping.
No, I'm admitting them as I see them.
All right, awesome. So 11 role specific courses so that each and every person at your individual schools that you serve are able to get a training on how to identify the signs of homelessness and then refer them to you, the liaison, as they qualify. And why is this useful? Because you can be the most experienced liaison on the face of the planet and not be effective at your job if you do not have every set of eyes in your school looking for the signs of homelessness to help you get those kids that are being identified. So we need to train our frontline staff, the people who are working with the students every single day, on how to identify those signs of homelessness. Let's go ahead and see what I mean as we continue to talk about this. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. That list that Laverne showed, that Ms. Dunn showed earlier, of our staff courses is also here on our website. When you go to mckinney-vento.org, you can go right here and see all of the courses. You can see all of the roles in here. And as you can see, we've got teachers, transportation staff, Title I staff, special education, everybody is covered here so that they can take a 15-minute course that not only gives them an introduction to what Mckinney-Vento is as a law, because not everybody knows what it is. It sounds weird. And so what is Mckinney-Vento as a law? How does it pertain to them in their specific role? And then also, what does homelessness mean? And why is that important? Well, most people operate under understanding that homelessness means a box under a bridge. Like if you ask anybody out on the street, including a teacher or somebody who's worked in schools for years, and you say, what does homelessness mean? That's probably pretty close to the definition that they're going to give you. But as you know, or as you will know, as you continue forward in your liaison career, it's a much more nuanced and varied definition. So many different living experiences are underneath that umbrella of homelessness. And because of that, we want to teach people how to identify, what does homelessness look like? It is not just you don't have a place to sleep. And so we want to train people on that. And then we go one step further and we tell them specifically how they will encounter or may encounter the signs of homelessness in their specific role. So for example, a bus driver encounters the possible signs of homelessness differently than a teacher does. None are less valuable or less useful, but a bus driver may be able to see if a student is showing up to a different bus stop every day, or if they should be accompanied by an adult because they're super young, but they're not, or something like that. But a teacher is going to be able to build a personal relationship with the student, maybe track hunger patterns, see if they're dressed appropriately for the weather, see if they talk about any home stressors. But we need both of those roles to be equally trained on how to identify those unique signs of homelessness within their role so that you can have the best possible list of students that qualify for services, and you can connect them to those services as they need them. So it's super awesome and exciting. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. Now, I am logged in as if I was a teacher. So if you register as a teacher on our website, this is what you will see. You'll see your name, your email address, and your username, and then you'll also see the courses that you're registered for. When you register, you will automatically be registered for the courses that pertain to you. If you register as a liaison, you'll see level 1 and level 2, and I can show you an example of that right here. So you can see this is another Shalina account, but I'm registered as a liaison. So I can see level 1 and level 2 here. But your essential staff will see the one course that pertains to their specific role. When they click on that, they are now into the course, and I can make this bigger so that you can see it easier. But they're now in the course. We have our learning objectives here at the top, so that they can see what are we going to learn today. Now, I have already started this course, so you can see that I have check marks next to the pieces of the course that show that I have completed them. This is going to be really useful for your staff and also for yourself as you're going through our 8-hour level 1 or our could be 20-hour level 2 course, because you can come back and it saves your progress. So you don't have to redo, you don't have to do 8 hours in a single sitting. You can get on your cell phone while you're on the train and do lesson 1, and then come back when you're at work and you're doing your PD hours, or when a teacher is doing their PD hours, and they can pick up where they left off. So it's awesome. What we have here is we've got the different sections of the course. They're going to click on a section of the course to pick up where they left off. They can see the learning objectives for that section. Here we've got each of the essential staff courses is made up of 2 videos. Okay, they've got a pre-test, which gives them 5 questions. It's the same 5 questions they'll get at the end, where we can assess how much did you know when you came into the course and how much did you know once you had completed it. So we've got a pre-test. Then we've got an introduction video. This is the one that is 11 minutes long. It gives them an introduction to Mckinney-Vento as a law and describes homelessness for them. Then if they scroll down, they'll see the essentials teachers specific video. So every single essential staff person will see the introduction video, and then they'll see their role specific video beneath it. Once they've watched their role specific video telling them how they will encounter the signs of homelessness, possibly in their specific role, then they can move on to the next step. Now notice there's not a mark complete button here because I've already completed this portion, but I wanted you to be able to look at it, okay? So we can go ahead and go to the previous part here. And sorry, I had backed out of it. Then they're gonna take a post quiz. Okay, this post quiz is the exact same questions that they saw in their pre-test. I'm going to go ahead and just do this very quickly. Notice I'm probably going to fail this because I'm not reading these questions, but I'm going to go through here. They get 5 questions. When it's done, it tells them what their percentage was and whether they reached an 80% or not in order to complete the course. Okay, if they reach an 80%, they will have the opportunity to download, print, or save their completion certificate. However, that completion certificate is largely ceremonial. You will not, as a liaison, need to keep a big file cabinet of everyone's Mckinney-Vento certificates, okay? They don't have to report to you or anything, because at any time, you can run an up-to-the-minute report on who has registered and who has completed any of the courses. So you already have that record. Once they finish that 15 minutes, they're done, job done. So they can just log out. If they want to, they can come back throughout the year and they can rewatch the videos. They can get a refresher and they can take the course again if they want to, but they will see on their course page that theirs is completed, okay? Now as a liaison, you have 2 trainings available to you, 2 courses. One is level 1, that's the overview of the law, and it's a 6 to 8 hour course depending on your reading speed, okay? And it's a combination of videos and quizzes and resources and all of those. You go through and you read it and you watch the videos, take quizzes at the end of each lesson. You also need to get an 80% on each of the quizzes. You've got 9 lessons in level 1, so you're gonna have 9 quizzes as you go. Remember, you can take those quizzes as many times as you need to in order to pass. We don't keep track of that, but you do need to get an 80% to proceed to the next part. When you're done completing an entire course, you'll have the same opportunity to download, print, or save your completion certificate. But again, it's ceremonial. Dr. Hunter and Ms. Dunn will be able to run a report at any time showing where you are in your progress. So if you've completed, they already know. Are there any questions about this training program, about how to access it, or where you should go if you have questions? Any questions about that?
Okay, if not, we would like to thank you so much, Shalina, for joining us and providing us with your overview of Mckinneyvento.org. We're so blessed to have you on the call. I'm sure if anyone has any questions, there's the email address. Feel free to reach out to her. She is so resourceful and patient. The entire staff is. So we're just so happy to be able to in collaboration with you all.
Thank
Thanks
you
again.
Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from all of you, and happy training.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. At this point, I wish I had the song that says money, 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 money. In my mind, that's what I hear when this slide comes up. Okay. All right, so because I don't have it, I guess I just need to roll with the show. All right. So now we're talking about money, ARP Homeless 2 funding. All right. Our sub-grantees were fortunate enough to get the ARP Homeless 1, but we're here today to talk to you about Homeless 2. All right. On March 11, 2021, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. He signed it into law in recognition of the extraordinary impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on student experience in homelessness. Okay, and his response was to, of course, provide some additional funding to help us navigate these uncertain waters. All right, the state agency received 2 buckets of monies. We've gotten 2 disbursements. One was, let me provide that to you, was Homeless 1. You can see how much funding we received there. And now our second bucket of money, Homeless 2, you can see how much money we've received with that. All right, with our ARP funding, okay, the allocation, the ARP Homeless 1 went specifically to our McKinney-Vento sub-grantees, all right? And we received over $4 million that went to them. 25% we were able to reserve at the state level, and then the other 75% went directly to the sub-grantees. Now, the second bucket of money, ARP Homeless 2, we received $12 million, okay? $12 million. Now you see why I wanted to sing money, 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 because we have rich people problems now, right? We have so much money, and it's like, okay, what can we do with all of this money? I'm sure every federal program director out there right now has that problem. They're trying to figure out what to do with all of the money that we've been given, okay? Now, this ARP Homeless 2, the funding is available now, okay? We just have to go through the process to get the application out. The way that this funding will be administered, okay, is we have a formula that's been given to us from the U.S. Department of Education that we must follow. All right, each SEA must award subgrants by allocating at least 75% of the funds it receives under RP Homeless to LEAs. And the way that we have to come up with the formula is 50%, or the allocation is 50% in proportion to the amount that each LEA received under Title I, Part A for the 2021 school year, okay? And 50% in proportion to the number of homeless children and youth identified by each LEA relative to all LEAs in the state, using the greater of the number of homeless children and youth in either 2018-19 school year or 2019-2020 school year, whichever number was the greatest. All right, and so we could not use 2020-2021 homeless counts. And as I started to think about why wouldn't they want to use 2020 or 2021 student counts? Well, we know that everybody's student counts dropped due to the pandemic. You know, a lot of students went virtual. Some parents just did not enroll their kids in school, just kept them home. So we faced a lot of challenges. So we get a more stable number if we were to go back to either 2018 or 2019. So this particular formula is made up of two things: Title I, Part A, and your homeless counts. Okay, that's how we come up with that formula. And this is just an example of what it looks like. Okay, so we looked at, say for instance, we received $10 million. Okay, we kept our 25% at the state level, and we allocate the rest to you all. All right, this is not a competitive allocation, so you don't have to worry about competing for this. It's open to all LEAs if you want the funding. Okay, you just have to let us know. So you can see 10% was taken because that would have been their Title I share. Okay, the proportionate share would have been 10%, and then 15%, which is what made up the from your homeless population. That is the percentage that Red Stick Parish had of overall. And so you take that times the allocation, and then you can see how much would be generated for Red Stick Parish: $937,500. So that's a lot of money. Okay, so this is just, I didn't want to go too in weeds with the formulas because we have to do that with your federal program director, but I do want you to walk away knowing that half of the formula is based off of Title I, Part A, and the other half on proportionate share, as well as your homeless count proportionate share for either 2018, 19, or 1920, whichever one was greater. And we've already done that. Now, what I want you to know is that in order to receive the funds, okay, an LEA must have an ARP Homeless 2 allocation of at least $5,000. All right, so when we did the formula, and the formula's already been done, when we did the formula, your LEA had to generate at least $5,000 for you to be able to get this funding. If an LEA's allocation based on the formula described in the previous slide is less than $5,000, it must apply in consortium, okay, with one or more LEAs to raise the combined allocation to at least $5,000 or more. Now, you don't have to apply for a consortium, but if you would like to receive services, if you want your students to get access to the funding, and you generated less than $5,000, you must combine with another LEA to equal that $5,000 or more, okay? Once again, you don't have to do that, but if you would like to receive the funding, most of you did qualify without having to do consortium, but I believe there was probably about eight LEAs that did not reach that $5,000 threshold. All right, so just giving you a heads up. The LEAs do not have to be contiguous, meaning neighboring LEAs, to form a consortium. The LDOE encourages consortiums because, once again, it's just benefiting the students. Some LEAs below $5,000 threshold may choose not to form a consortium. In such instances, each LEA's allocation will be reallocated to other LEAs. So in the event that you don't want to accept the funding, once again, rich people problems, then you will just reject the funding and it'll be reallocated to other LEAs. Now, so how do you receive the funding? What's the next steps to funding? Each LEA's homeless liaison will receive an email by close of business on Monday, September 27th, okay, providing the approximate amount of the allocation. At that time, the liaison should consult with their federal program director and complete the JOT form. So we're going to be sending you a link to a JOT form, either accepting or rejecting the allocation, all right? The LEAs that will require a consortium, remember those that receive less than $5,000 will also be notified in that email. And we will let you know, okay, you are receiving an allocation of $248. Would you like to form a consortium? Or, you know, and you will be able to respond as well. The application for ARP Homeless 2 will appear in the Achieve application, all right? So it's not going to be in the super app. It won't be in the Mckinney-Vento subgrantee consolidated application. It's going to be in the Achieve application, and it'll just be a drop-down funding source that'll appear when you click on ARP Homeless 2 funding and then allocate it the way you would like to. It will appear at the end of October/November. You will receive 95% of the allocation will be available in November, and then the other 5 will come in December. There will be an additional meeting with LEAs that will actually receive the funding to go over the alignment with LDOE priorities prior to the application deadline. So once you all complete the JOT form, letting us know who wants to receive it and who doesn't, we will have another meeting with just those LEAs that opt to receive the funding, and then before the application is released, so you'll know how to navigate. All right, so the use of funds, what can you use the money for? All right, so remember that the ARP HYC funds are intended to support the specific and urgent needs of homeless children and youth due to the extraordinary impact of the pandemic on students experiencing homelessness, including reduced identification of such students, decreased enrollment in schools, interrupted classroom instruction, and challenges navigating services for shelter, housing, clothing, school supplies, food, and childcare. All right, the funds will be available from July 2021 through September 30th, 2024. So you can do some very creative things with this, but you would just have to make sure that you pace yourself, because once again, it's not something that you're going to get a new bucket of money every year. The one pot of money will be available to use throughout September 2024. Okay, reminder about comparable services. Any activity or service that is provided to all or non-homeless students by an LEA cannot be reimbursed only for homeless students. So if it's something that your district is doing for all other students, then homeless students should be included in that. You can't just say, okay, we're going to spend this money, the ESSER money, or for all the other students, and then we'll just use this bucket of money just for homeless. No, you have to be able to, if you're paying for it for all other students, you must pay for homeless as well with that. You can't keep them separate. All right, some things that you can utilize the funding on, and I know this is small, so we're going to, in an attachment with the deck that we send out, give you another sheet that's going to be with larger print of things you can do, utilize the funding for. But you can see there, you can utilize it for tutoring, supplemental instruction, enriched educational services, evaluations, transportation, before and after school mentoring. You can use it for payment of fees. You can also use it for extraordinary emergency assistance. And some things that I wanted to point out, those are typical things that Mckinney-Vento money pays for homeless students in general anyway. But ARP in addition to what you're normally able to do for homeless students and use those funding streams on, you can also use it for what ARP deems as necessary. And some things that I wanted to point out to you was that you can purchase cell phones or other technology devices for unaccompanied youth with this funding. You can pay for short-term housing, a few days in a motel with this funding, which is something that you weren't normally able to do. And so I will say all the time when we get these questions, Dr. Hunter, I have this family, they don't have anywhere to stay. What can I do? I don't have any resources. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to use federal funding to pay for hotel rooms for these families. So I've been making comments on our homeless ARP1 applications that I received. Now that we get this once in a lifetime opportunity, why do I not see that being budgeted in the budgets? You know, so I put that question. You don't have to use it that way, but it's something that you really need to think about, because this is a great opportunity for our families that are experiencing homelessness, as well as store cards, prepaid debit cards to purchase materials necessary for students to participate in school. And I've seen how some of our other homeless liaisons has used that funding to purchase gas cards for families. They may have gotten a gift card to Walmart to be able to provide certain things. But I just encourage you, if you decide to purchase gift cards, we don't encourage that one, but if you do, you want to make sure that you have protocols in place to follow the money, all right? Are you having signatures being required? Is it more than one signature that has to be required for a gift card? Things like that are things you should be thinking about as we move forward. Now, in our next training, we will go in more depth with you about how you can utilize the ARP funding. But once again, outreach and identification, and I'm not going to read all of this to you because you will have the deck, and you can, it just gives you a more in-depth explanation of how it can be used. Wraparound services. We highly encourage wraparound services. What partnerships are you able to establish out there with others in your community? I saw some creative things that's being done. One of the LEAs was partnering with the hospital to be able to pay for examinations for their students, physicals, all of those things. And I got really excited when I saw that. Paying for college tours for students. That's something else that's very innovative that you can do with the funding. So if you're wondering, what can I do with all of this money? Once again, rich people problems. These are some examples of some innovative ways that you can create. Someone had a contract with Sylvan Learning Center to provide tutoring. So these are some other things you could do. Instructional services is listed here. And like I said, I'm not going to read through all of that for the sake of time because we got some very exciting information coming to you. Transportation, things you can do as well. Some of you are facing issues with the natural disaster from the hurricane and the bus routes of getting kids to school of origin. You know, you can use this money to buy gift cards to assist with gas. So just being creative with how you are tying this back to the pandemic. Providing supplies, emergent, and anything, of course, with Mckinney-Vento, you have extraordinary needs because every family is different. Okay, and there's some other resources of things you can do with funding. Housing, some resources that are available. And then these are the codes. Now for my Mckinney-Vento subgrantees, I did want to flag for you that there are 2 new codes that have been put into the system. You can see code 97, which is instructional support, and code 98, which is emergency assistance for ARP. Some of you may have kind of grouped your instructional support with like a wraparound service, which was perfectly fine for that moment. But if you want to do an amendment and send it back and then just recode it, you can, because I think that would be more appropriate, the code 97 or the code 98. So I just wanted to flag for you, those are two new codes. Remember, every family is different, so you want to ensure that you're servicing the family based off of their specific needs. You're not just doing one thing and say, I'm doing this for all of my families. That might be what's needed, but if it's not, please look for other ways to ensure that you're meeting their needs. So next steps in regards to your ARP funding, we would like for you to meet with your federal programs director. We would like for you to, once you receive the initial email, remember it's coming by next Monday, respond to the jot form by Friday, October 1st, stating if your LEA will accept or reject the ARP Homeless 2 funding. Remember, you must have at least $5,000 or more so that you don't have to fall into that consortium guideline. And we'll let you know what that amount is when we send that email out. If the LEA does accept the funding, conduct the needs assessment to determine what services will best suit your homeless population and plan accordingly. All right, so based off of whatever else you've got going on with the other funding you utilize, do another needs assessment to say, okay, now what do we need? How can I take this to the next level of servicing the students? Like I said, we've had some LEAs to do contracts with hospitals. We've had contracts with Sylvan Learning Center, institute coming up with creative college tours. So there are other ways that you can utilize funding. All right, so once again, if you have any questions about ARP funding, don't hesitate to contact me. I know we went through it kind of quick. However, once we know whether or not you're going to accept the funding, then we'll have another training specifically just on ARP Homeless 2 to go more in depth at that time. But we wanted to just give a general overview so everyone will be aware of what it is and what it's all about, to know if we want to accept it or not. All right, statewide parent and family engagement initiative. All right, just wanted to provide you guys with an update of where we are with our parent and family engagement initiative. How many of you, if you were able to watch the recording of where on the presentation, if you can just jot yes in the chat box, that would be great. Just want to know if you all are familiar with the initiative. I sent out a link explaining great. And hopefully, if you guys were able to review the recording, you were able to see how your role is going to fit with this parent and family engagement coordinator to take this to the next level. All right. One of the things that we have done, I am the state coordinator for parent and family engagement as well. And so one of the things that we've done is develop a birth through 12 Be Engaged framework. Okay, so the whole initiative is about being engaged. So now we have a framework that we will operate under when it comes to parent and family engagement. So I'm telling you to get with your coordinators, and we will be sharing that with them. There's a webinar that's going to be held on September 29th. And we'll be giving them that information. So they'll have the framework after the 29th. So don't go ask them today about the framework because they won't have it. But after the 29th, feel free to talk to them about the framework to see how you can fit in that mode. We will have regional trainings for them to launch PIMS points, which we are super excited about. And those regional trainings are going to be held in October, the 18th through the 25th. Not only that, our homeless liaisons, we are partnering because we have rich people problems now. We're partnering with PBS, all right? So PBS or LPB, we will be coming to your area in regional trainings for homeless families. We are going to be providing training for 750 homeless families in your area. So when we set up these regional trainings, and we're thinking about January, all right, this will be the time frame. We'll train you guys on how to give the training. And basically it's like a STEM workshop, things that they can do at home using basic materials from the house, rubber bands, paper towel holders, things like that, to create some type of project with their child, you know, getting them more engaged. If you guys are familiar with PBS, and I think it's Molly of Denali, if you've heard of that.
Oh, shit, I got
The training will be based around the Molly of Denali. So we'll train you guys so that you're able to go provide the trainings to your families in your area. So that's what that training will be about, and that's coming in January. Last but not least, we are partnering with Harvard and All Here to provide the Be Engaged bot for our homeless families, all right? And so we are very lucky to have Ms. Joanna Smith with us from Harvard Innovation All Here to share with you the Be Engaged bot that is specifically for our homeless students. And when we talk about this, this is geared towards our mental health component. We've been pushing that, saying what can we do to service the whole child? It's not so much just about you know, how well they're doing in the classroom, but it's just mentally, how are they, you know, doing? We've suffered a lot, but what are we doing to ensure that they are capable of learning when they show up in the classrooms? We ask that you mute your lines if you're not muted. Quintina, can you please mute your line? And so we are so happy to have Joanna with us. So Joanna, if you can just give me a few minutes to find you and give you co-hosting privileges, that would, well, actually you don't need, I did it anyway. Okay, so Joanna, the floor is yours at this time. Take it away.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for being here with me this afternoon. I have to apologize in advance. You may hear the happy sounds of my 19-month-old in the background, but we are so excited to be here. So to share some context, as mentioned, my name is Joanna Smith, and I'm joining this call from All Here. All Here is an initiative out of the Harvard Innovation Labs focused on improving outcomes at scale for all families and all youth, especially those who, for a number of reasons, of which homelessness certainly is one, may be considered fragile. And in the spirit of the state of Louisiana, knowing that children are really the highest priority, that equity matters, that families are partners, and in recognition of the invaluable role that schools play in a community context, comes the work of the Be Engaged bot. The Be Engaged bot, and I'll share some more about what that means momentarily, but it stems out of research that we at the Harvard Innovation Labs were recently able to do with regard to how families, especially those families experiencing homelessness, have been able to navigate some of the challenges during COVID. As I'm sure that you all in your work and expertise know, on a regular basis, families face challenges ranging from things like how to access health and mental health services, how to access Wi-Fi, how to get academic help for any course specific challenges. And if COVID has done anything, it's really to magnify the extent to which there are blockers that families and youth experiencing homelessness face in their journey or in their path to experiencing success in school. Some quick background and context on me and our team. We're actually based on the research of our labs, and our chief researcher is Dr. Peter Bergman. Peter, he earned his PhD in economics from UCLA, and his expertise is on improving the financial and the educational outcomes of parents. Prior to joining Peter and our research team in this work, I taught 6th and 8th grade math, and was a part of the Harvard Grad School of Education's redesign lab, which is one of the ways that we focus on K-12 work. So with that context, what is the Be Engaged bot? The Be Engaged bot is a SMS chatbot that was designed to help families and youth experiencing homelessness by sending timely reminders and relevant information about school. So ranging from mental and behavioral health resources to academic resources as well, and has the ability to answer families' questions 24/7. The best way to explain this is that you know how Siri and Alexa can answer questions at any time. Those are two examples of chatbots. And that's exactly how the Be Engaged bot works, except it only answers questions about school, academics, mental health, physical health, as well as absences. And the Be Engaged bot does not speak, it only texts. The Be Engaged bot has been proven to increase both participation and attendance in school. And on the basis of the rigorous research that has gone into the bot, it's earned a strong evidence rating for a grades K to 12. It is available in any parent's home language. So the minute that a parent sends a message to the bot, they are able to have conversational exchanges in their language of choice. On the right of my screen, you'll see an example of what a conversational workflow might actually look like. So a family or a youth can text a specific line at any time and get help with any school related challenge. And the Be Engaged bot pulls on resources and information specific to your state. So it's giving families relevant information in the moment. We often get asked, how does a chatbot work? We actually use them every day. I gave the two examples of Alexa and of Siri. And essentially a chatbot is a bot that can use human language to mimic authentic conversation. So it sounds like you're talking to a friend or a caring adult as opposed to a piece of tech. And we use the chatbot and implement it over text because by far, when you compare engagement rates between texting and emailing and mailing, families prefer text. So Pew and as well as some other organizations have affirmed that among today's families in K-12, only 6% of them will open and use email on a daily basis compared to 98% when it comes to a text. When it comes to supporting participation and engagement, one of the things that inspired this work for us also was that a number of schools will default to using mail. That has certain equity implications for families and youth who are experiencing homelessness. And when you compare email and texting to mail, if 6% of families will access email on a daily basis, only 40% of those families that do have access to a permanent address will open mail on a daily basis. So the reason that the chatbot operates all over text is a function of that being how parents in K-12 schools prefer to receive as well as exchange information. It is of note that the Be Engaged bot is research-based. So all of the content has gone through a rigorous review process, as well as all of the resources families can access using the chatbot. And it's really the only K-12 AI-powered family engagement intervention considered to have strong evidence under ESSA. It does have different workflows within the Be Engaged bot to both engage families and to support you in your efforts to remove barriers to learning. And I'll talk a bit about what some of those components are. The first is really around a text nudge. So a nudge is a piece of information, a gentle reminder or push that is designed to impact behavior. And when it comes to the Be Engaged bot, the purpose of the text nudges are to encourage families to proactively access resources ranging from areas to student wellness and academic learning. That is the context within which we are using the Be Engaged bot in your state. Currently, about 2 million families nationally are engaging with some version of one of our chatbots. When we talk about the Be Engaged support bot, one of the things that families find most helpful is that no matter the time of day or night, no matter the question, they're able to be connected with the right resource at the right time. So for example, if using your ARP2 funds, you're going to be investing in things like Wi-Fi hotspots or any other resources for families or youth. What we often see is that LEAs will invest resources into procuring those assets on for parents, but it takes a lot to get parents to actually use them. So the minute that a parent is texting that they have a specific need in a specific area where there is a resource, what the support aspect of the bot does is link them to the right resource at the right time. The bot can also field questions from your families 24/7, which helps significantly to reduce those phone calls that you may often get. The Be Engaged bot can handle questions around things like information about absences, resource needs, if there are any questions about the academic calendar or dates, as well as navigating school contact information. So look at it as an extension of being able to support those families and those youth. And in fact, some of the testimonials that we've gotten from families that engage bots are around areas of like, thanks for listening, thanks for being so kind, and that it helps to have this 24/7 text line out there for any on-demand questions or needs. I mentioned that this work exists in a national context. So we support over 8,000 schools and over 2 million parents nationally using the bots. And for Louisiana, although the chatbots can do far more than issue help and resources around academics, as well as any kind of more tactical needs that your families and youth might have. For the purposes of this engagement, we're really focusing the bots on providing families connections to 24/7 personalized learning help from expert tutors. We are focusing on the Be Engaged bot being also able to use text messaging to connect parents to resources around food, technology, connectivity, healthcare, hygiene items, masks, rental assistance, housing, information, transportation, information, and other resources as well. One of the things that the Be Engaged bot is also able to do is that the moment that a family or a youth texts the Be Engaged bot and says that they're facing a challenge with either physical or mental health care, we can connect them to a resource 24/7 to help to answer that need. And you do have the option of having your Be Engaged bot allow families to schedule time with you in the event that a family is raising a sensitive or a priority topic beyond which the Be Engaged bot can answer. Here's a screenshot of what some of the sample conversations from the Be Engaged bot might look like. So one, it can be accessed 24/7. So parents, youth, especially even unaccompanied youth, can ask any question at any time and receive a response. The Be Engaged bot is also meant to be proactive. So it could send information to parents, it could send information to youth, and get information in return as well. And we've also done a lot of research on making the conversational workflows positive, and the bot can make interactions fun through joy and wit. So overall, here are the following elements that are combined into the Be Engaged bot for every liaison on this call. One is that the Be Engaged bot can send two-way proactive text message nudges to parents and youth, as well as has the capacity to escalate priority or sensitive topics to the right person if a family or a youth has a question beyond which the Be Engaged bot can answer. And this is so helpful because if you're getting a high volume of calls from families, look at this as the first line of helping them to access any resources or answers that they may need on a 24/7 basis. The second element, if a family or student sends a text message to the Be Engaged bot and says that they're having an issue or need support when it comes to tutoring or health, whether it's physical or mental health, the Be Engaged bot can be used to connect them to those resources 24/7, even while you, as a superhuman as you are, get some sleep. We are a team that's highly motivated by impact. So with the families that we have implemented similar chatbots with so far, they've been able to improve attendance by 17%, to reduce course failures by 38%, and to improve student GPAs by 0.23. That being said, for every liaison that implements the Be Engaged bot at their site or sites, you will have the opportunity to get research grade reports as well as insights about how the Be Engaged bot is working for your families and your youth. We do offer support to all of our partners whenever they need it, and we do also train any staff that you would like to be aware of this work. So let's talk about, just for a minute or two, the parameters of the pilot. program, as well as how you may be able to sign up. So nationally, so I mentioned that this work comes out of Harvard, where primarily we do research in as to what effective interventions are. Then usually after we complete a research cycle, we open up a national pilot program that gives states and that gives LEAs an opportunity to implement that evidence-based intervention or tool or resource in their own context. So for the Be Engaged bot, we are doing the same thing. Nationally, there are 20 states that are having anywhere from 1,500 to 16,000 youth engage with their own version of a Be Engaged bot. The bots can engage families across grades K-12, or students, or a youth or a unaccompanied youth in grades 9 to 12 at the time of implementation. The Be Engaged bot does not have to and does not need to be integrated with your SIS platform in order to support parents and youth, but there is the option to do that if you would so choose. And really what the option of integrating the Be Engaged bot with a data system does is allow it to have even more in-depth conversations, but that is not a requirement to launch the Be Engaged bot in your context. For Louisiana, there are going to be up to 6,000 families and youth included in a pilot for a free, ranging from November of this year to April of next year, and the LDOE is going to pay for an additional 4,000 youth and families to take part. So all in all, 10,000 youth across the state of Louisiana are going to be able to receive services through the Be Engaged bot. And for this academic year, the implementation period stems from November 1st through April 1st of next year. I'm gonna highlight for a second. So everyone is going to receive a copy of these slides over email, but I'm going to highlight this QR code in the right-hand corner. There is going to be a link to I believe it's a 5-question form that can be completed online and essentially gives us information that, hey, I want a Be Engaged bot to be active at my site. You can also use the QR code that is at the top right of this screen to access that form. Parents are going to be informed of the Be Engaged bot by receiving an intro text, and they can opt out at any time. The minimum information to launch the Be Engaged bot in your context is a list of parent names and parent cell phone contacts. One of the questions that we at times get is what are our privacy practices? There is school and LEA oversight. We are in compliance with FERPA, COPA, TCPA, as well as GDPR, and there is a list of both our other privacy and security certifications that are available in our privacy agreements as well. And there are 5 steps to launch the Be Engaged bot. So 1, use the link you received to submit your intent to participate form. We're asking that all interested liaisons, if you would like the Be Engaged bot to be active at your site, for us to receive that form by October 1st of this year. You will receive a link to then upload that list of parent name and parent contacts from us by October 4th. Assuming that we receive that list by October 15th, your Be Engaged bot will, one, then be set up to incorporate any resources or information to add to the Be Engaged bot specific to your district, and the Be Engaged bot can then send its first text to your parents by or on November 1st. Okay, so it's designed to be a very easy implementation process. Homeless liaisons will receive your first report on Be Engaged bot usage 24 hours after the first text is sent, and on a monthly basis thereafter. Liaisons will also get a login to access the back end of the Be Engaged bot and be able to see any and all families' interactions in real time. So for next steps for folks, please sign if you would like the Be Engaged bot to be active for your families and youth. Sign the intent to participate form by October 1st. This link will also come to you via email. You can use the QR code at the top right to access it as well. And then after we receive the intent to participate, you will be able to provide us with that roster of parent names and a parent contact. We're so excited to be welcoming schools and as well as liaisons from all across your state to this work. I can be reached at any time with questions at jss744@mail.harvard.edu, and my cell phone is also here for those of you who would prefer to text. We also tweet, so if that's your preferred mode of reaching out, you can reach out to us at allhereK12. And with that, I will hang on for any questions. But in the meantime, we are so excited to see liaisons sign up for the Be Engaged bot and to be as helpful as we can. Thanks, everybody.
I'm sorry, I've been talking and you guys heard nothing that I said, right?
I'm really sorry about that.
I'm super sorry. Okay, so we're super excited to have Joanna with us, and this initiative is just one of the many great things that we're going to be doing here at the State Department. It is not in place of PIMS Point, okay? PIMS Point is for all of the parents across the state. Be Engaged bot is just for our homeless families, okay? So it's specifically to our subgroup population. This is a pilot to see how it goes. You guys don't have to pay for anything. LDOE, the first 6,000 students are free, and we will cover the additional 4,000. Based off of this October 1 count, so we really need to get those students in so we'll know what we're dealing with. All right, moving right along. We are a little bit behind schedule. However, we have about 35 minutes remaining, and what better way to end the day with a much highly anticipated topic of EdLink. And so we have with us Tara. Let me unmute you. Make sure.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so the floor is yours at this time.
All right.
Also tell her, Tara, she needs to do Daisy Powell also.
Yes, I think she is now set up as well.
Okay, then. Good.
And I'll stop sharing. Okay, you
Do
got
the
it.
screen.
All right.
Okay. All right, I hope everybody can see our screen pretty well. All right, thank you guys so much for having us on today. So I'm going to talk all things EdLink. My name is Tara Baylott. I work, my data manager for us is Miss Sherry Randall. And we work with all of our system submissions for the state. So specifically around EdLink homeless data, we just want to talk about like what is EdLink, because a lot of you may be new. And so we kind of want to go over the basics of what EdLink is. So our EdLink core values, our goal was to revolutionize the way that we use data to support our students and our families. And to do that, we knew that data is the most powerful member of any team, and that data is for everyone. So everyone should have access to this. Data is a crucial, critical step, and it requires investment and protection. So we have to protect our little babies out there and ensure that their information stays private as well. And then there's a simple and elegant solution to every problem. We truly believe that, that we can solve the problems that we have. So in order to do that, we had a couple of things we looked at. So EdLink is the department's new education data warehouse, and it's a transactional system platform that revolutionizes the way users access and interact with data. So what we had was outdated and failing systems. Our data was collected in several different locations, and there was really no single source of truth. Simple reporting and research was very difficult because, again, the data was located in several locations, and so pulling that together was complicated. And then we had a lot of challenging questions that were almost really nearly impossible for us to answer, again, because the data was in several locations that we had to pull together. And the school and facility level staff who have the most opportunities for positive impact on our kids often have the least amount of meaningful data available in making those crucial decisions within districts. So in order to do that, we said we wanted to improve business processes and overall usability. We wanted to consolidate our data silos into one source of truth. So one location, one hub where data is going to be housed. And also we wanted to connect data and programs to reduce multiple logins, and then build data warehouses with meaningful visualizations, because a lot of us learn through visualizations, comprehensive reporting, and program evaluation. And so that's really what we set out to do with EdLink. So EdLink 360 is a data warehouse that combines both early childhood and our K-12 data into one system. So instead of it being in several locations, again, we're pulling it together into one place. The combination of historical and future data allows LDOE and school systems to track students from birth to high school completion. So they have an opportunity to start with the student, and we get to follow them all the way through their education. It replaces outdated K-12 data systems and gives school systems a new place to submit all state required data. It's one single platform where all users access data based on their role, and dashboards with graphics that are designed to be visually appealing and easy to understand. So a lot of times we can get a lot of crazy graphs out there with data, and it's hard to read, but it's a very, very user-friendly and a very readable set of dashboards that we've designed here in EdLink. So specifically homeless data. So reporting homeless data, student service data into EdLink. It's a process will need to be developed with your local school system to collect homeless service data. Currently, this data is entered manually into SIS and HTS for last year's collection. So last year you were, a lot of your school-age children are being housed in your local system, and then any of your underage homeless students were being manually entered into HTS. EdLink does not have an online data entry, meaning we have no availability for manual entry. It's all done through uploads. Homeless service data should be entered into your local system, similar to what you do in the current homeless tracking system as far as your school-age students, to show a specific homeless service was provided at least once during a specific month. For a given student, there would be a maximum of 21 records, so one for each homeless service provided. The homeless service data should be recorded and submitted by the end of each month in the homeless service TSV extract. That is what we're calling it, and I'll explain that a little further as we get down. So this is our homeless service extract. We specifically gave it the homeless tracking system, was the old system in which we house this information, and now we're calling it the homeless service TSV extract. The extract file includes records that identify a homeless service received by a homeless student at least once during a school year. And we've kind of created a sample. You can go out there, we'll provide this deck after this webinar. So you can go and kind of pull what that looks like as far as sample information. So a vendor of ours, one of the local vendors, sent us kind of some screenshots of what it would look like for you guys, because it's kind of hard to say from our standpoint. So we wanted to show you kind of what it's going to look like from your standpoint. This is a sample page of the homeless section of the data in a local system. The homeless data will be pulled daily and sent to EdLink 360. So your student data manager has set up schedules, automated schedules, where these extracts will run on a daily process. So the system in EdLink itself will be refreshed daily with fresh data. So if you enter 5 students today, you would see that reflected when you log in tomorrow into EdLink, and you would see those 5 additional students added to the system. No data can be directly entered into EdLink, so there is no manual entry option, but data can be entered into your local school system, and then it pull on that automated schedule. So here is just kind of a screenshot of the homeless tab in a local system. You still have all of the available options that you had before for you to enter that information. And then also, this is a screenshot of the services that were provided, the possibilities of services that can be provided to a student. And of course, it flags the months from July to the next following June. Our homeless identifiers are still the same. So we have 1 is for students in shelters, 2 for doubling up, 3 for unsheltered, and 4 for hotel or motel. And then I'm just kind of going through all of the codings that exist and that they're still remaining the same. We also have your homeless types. So we have 1 if the student is public school student, 2 if they are underage sibling of a public school student, 3 is for non-public students, services provided during a disaster only. We also have our homeless reasons. We have 1 through 11, and then 99 is other. I won't bother you with reading through those, but all of your homeless reasons are still identified in here. And then the homeless services. So any of the possibilities of services that a homeless student can be provided, those are still an option to you as well. So in your local system, you'll see them through a drop down, you'll be able to choose which service was provided to that student for which month and dates. So just kind of providing you an example of kind of how this works. So when you log into the local system and you enter a student, if this student in particular, as an example, received tutoring services, and they received it on August 7th and August 17th, September 1st, 3rd, and September 22nd, again on November 7th, and then again December 3rd and December 15th. You would just go in and indicate for the month of August that tutoring services was checked off for the month of August, September, November, and December. So you may house in the local system that the service was provided those 2 times in August, but when it pulls into the extract, it's going to pull that the 7 tutoring service was provided August, September, November, and December. So just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like when it pulls together those services. Couple questions that we get in FAQs is how will homeless data be submitted in EdLink 360? So the homeless data will be pulled from your local system and into the homeless extract and submitted daily in EdLink 360. So again, you'll enter that into your local system and you can work with your student data manager to figure out where that location is in your local system to make sure you're housing that information correctly. Can I enter data into EdLink 360? So no, unfortunately, there is no manual screen availability in EdLink 360, but you do have the availability to enter that again into your local system. I do not have homeless data in my local system. How will it make it into EdLink 360? So you can directly work with your, it says SIS data manager, but your student data manager for your local system to ensure that the process for capturing the homeless data is set up, and then you can work together with them to build out that process and what it looks like for you. How many homeless service records should exist for a student? So there's only one record for each of the 21 services is required to be submitted for the student. So using that example, the service received tutoring twice in August, but they were just checked off once. So even though they received several services for the same service twice within the month of August, they just had the month of August checked off. And then are all dates captured for the specific homeless service that was provided for that student? So no, if a service is provided at least once monthly, there is only a need to report this information once to show that the service was provided during that particular month. And because many of you have questions, I wanted to kind of give you what the next steps would be. So if you haven't reached out to your local student data manager, please do so. They can be a useful tool in helping you get set up and understanding your local system to enter the data in there for your homeless students, both school age and underage. If you have questions about homeless policies and procedures, Ms. Hunter and Ms. Dunn are going to be your contacts there. If you have questions about EdLink security or the EdLink access, so if you need access to those dashboards, reach out to your security coordinator for your district. They're going to be the ones that can grant you access to the dashboards. If your local student, if you need assistance entering or correcting homeless data in your local system, or you need assistance with understanding EdLink homeless dashboards, you can reach out to your local data manager for the students. And they can assist you in maneuvering through and understanding, one, your local system, and two, where you would be able to go and view the information on the dashboards. And then if you need assistance in submitting data to EdLink, if you're the data manager, you can always reach out to us at edlink360@la.gov. Or if you are the data manager and you have questions about homeless counts or reports that are built out in EdLink, you can reach out to us at edlink360@la.gov and we can kind of walk you through that process. So that is all that I have for you as far as slides go. But I wanted to provide you kind of a live demo. So we've asked Ms. Powell and Ms. Walker if they would give us the opportunity for them to show you EdLink from their perspective and what it kind of looks like for them as far as file loads go. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and allow them to share their screen.
Hello, I'm Daisy Powell, and I am the data manager for the Cattle Parish School Board. Just want to show you a little brief synopsis of the files that are submitted to EdLink every night and show you a little bit about what homeless data looks like. Okay, so I'm already logged into EdLink, and the green means that the files were successfully submitted to EdLink. But unfortunately, the ones that were sent last night did not submit for homeless. So I want to check and see why, what the problem is and why homeless was not submitted. And so I'm going to go to the error type and look at the errors that I saw on homeless, which is the more columns in data than defined headers, the missing required fields, more columns in the data, and the unknown. and the unexpected header, I'm sorry. So I'm going to click on all of these so you can only see the errors for the homeless, and how I can see what the errors are. I'm able to download it through Excel, and we can go here to download the errors so I can see what I can fix as well as the vendor. So as you see, I've downloaded the file through Excel, and this is what is generated, and I'm able to see what the errors are if I scroll over a little bit so you can see. So as I said, it's unexpected header and missing required files, more columns in the data than defined headers in the unknown file. So as I see the 3 of the errors, which is the unexpected header, more columns in data than defined headers, and unknown file, I have to check with my local vendor. And the missing required fields is something probably that I can fix and look at the layout file that EdLinks provides. So this is how you
Sorry
can
to
tell
interrupt
what.
you, Miss Daisy. Could you reshare your screen? I think it's still showing us the EdLink login page. You may have to stop share and reshare for the Excel document to open.
Okay, so
There we
can you all see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so as I said before, this is the Excel spreadsheet that I downloaded from the homeless errors, and I'm gonna just move over again and then show you that. So I filtered out which was only the homeless type, which we're looking at. And so to see what the errors were, I downloaded the file in Excel so I could see what the problem of the error was. And as I stated before, it's 4 error types: the unexpected header, more columns and data than defined header, and the unknown file is something I have to contact my local vendor about. But the missing required fields is something I can check and fix and look at the layout to see in the local system what needs to be done. Okay, so once that's done, and I realized that, you know, none of the files were submitted, I can go back and see. Are you able to see it now?
No, ma'am, it stopped sharing.
Okay, let me see. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I can go back and look and see so far what how many students I do have for homeless, and you'll go to the data validation screen. And I said I can see how many it is because I have been submitting, like she said, submitting files daily, but this particular load didn't load for today. So I can show the account that we have so far from the other submissions that we've done. So under the data validation tab, I'm going to select the student data validation, just to give you an idea to see what the county is for the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
I have the ability to look down here. Let's see, Mrs. Student function. Okay, so here we are. And this is the homeless. And so far, our count as of right now is 905 that comes from the local system. I'm able to click on the number and see all of the students that are listed from the total of 905 for homeless so far for today. As I stated before, I can also download this data through Excel and look at the file to see all of the students so far that are homeless. It takes a few minutes for it to unload so you can see all of the students, the total count for 905 for homeless. So as Tara had stated before, we normally submit the public school for homeless kids as well as which is number 1. And the underage homeless kids, which we don't have any data on it as of yet, but hopefully by tomorrow we'll be able to see that. That would be number 2. So as I said before, it's taking a few minutes because we got so many students. Isn't that correct, Tara?
That's right. That's right.
You want to piggyback on anything while we're waiting?
Yeah, so as soon as she kind of shows you this roster, I have one more thing to share with you guys and kind of explaining what it's going to look like for you, kind of your role in this whole process. And at first, that always is going to be the conversation of reach out to your student data manager, your data security coordinator, to make sure that you have set up a process. You've discussed with them, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm entering the homeless data. Is there a certain place that this needs to be inputted in, and work with them and become a team to really engage together to get this data pulled into the local system, so that the process that they've set up to do the automated submissions will run automatically. And so you'll just come in here and assist them with cleaning up any major errors that may be listed out for these students, or really just validating these numbers to make sure the numbers you're going to see in here on this custom validation count does match what you know to be true as far as how many students are flagged, both public and underage, public school level and underage, as far as your counts go before that collection snapshot begins. Sometimes it just takes a while.
Yes, it does. And like I said, we have 905 students total so far for homeless. So
I think it's fine without us seeing the students, because I don't want to share anybody's personal identifier.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So yeah, so that's fine.
So I will go ahead and share a screen because I have these kind of screenshotted out. I'm just going to share the whole screen. Let me kind of show you what I've got here. So kind of your role and what that will look like for you. So how do you correct your data? Where do you even go? What do you look at to know that if there's even something wrong with the data? So your student data manager is going to be coming in here very frequently because these files are going to be set up on that automated process. So they really have to come in here and say, what's wrong with the file? Do I need to fix something, such as Ms. Daisy stated before, a required field was missing? That's something that she can correct. Or is there something major that's wrong with the file that they need to reach out to the local vendor and say, hey, the programming for this is not set up correctly. It's not accepting my file. That process is really going to be done by your student data manager. The process that you'll have in place is really working with them to, one, enter the information into your local system. After that's done, and you've got all of the babies listed in your local system, you want to come in here and just showing you where we're at. When Ms. Daisy logged in, you saw all of these tabs. These are kind of your top categories. Data processing is where she showed you the files either loaded or didn't load and what problems existed. You'll be surviving kind of in this data quality and data validation zone. So you're coming here to data quality. And in data quality, everything is bucketed out in its own section. So as you scroll down, you'll see I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. There's a whole category for just homeless data problems. These are things that didn't meet the business rules required for the information to make it in. So at that point, you'll come in here and you'll notice, and I'm going to scroll down just a little bit so it makes more clear. We have two errors listed for homeless data. The first is the homeless reason code is not allowed, and then the listed is invalid. So two things there. Listed is invalid means the student doesn't have a state ID number that's housed in your local system. It could be that they just got submitted and it wasn't actually entered into your local system yet. So that's something that you can fix very easy. Look them up and make sure that they have a state ID number and make sure it's entered into your local system. So those are quite easy fixes. The other is kind of reviewing each of these errors because there could be a range of them. We have a user guide out there that lists all of these audit codes. You're probably used to hearing them as error codes in the past. So you can come and look at these error codes and say, it tells you not only the coding, it tells you the message that you see here, what's called the measure name. So it tells you what the error is. And there's a solution, a resolution to that problem listed for you in the student user guide. So you're able to retroactively fix that problem in your local system. It tells you how to do that. So here, the error count is going to be the total, how many head counts for these errors exist. So for this district that we're looking at here, they have 9 errors here where the homeless reason code is not allowed. It could be a retired code. It could be their local system didn't update the codings for that category for the actual homeless reason code section. So you would reach out to your data manager and say, hey, I'm submitting code, let's just say, for example, 3. I see it was retired. What's the new coding? you could go through that, look at what needs to be fixed for this error, and you can help your data manager to correct that in the local system. So that's how you review the errors, see what's going on here. As you move along, if I were to select that number 9, it's going to give me the students. It's going to give me the list. All 9 students are going to be each row. So 1 student for each row. So there are 9. I screenshotted it and kind of cut it out for you to just make it simple. But I wanted to show you kind of your best friend here. When you click on any of those numbers, so again, let me just back up for a second. We went to data quality. We looked at the homeless bucket. We see the problems. I wanted to start with this error, so I clicked on the 9. It pulled up a roster for me of those students. When you scroll over a little bit, audit notes is going to be your best friend. It's going to tell you exactly the student, and it's going to tell you the solution to the problem. So you can kind of read it out in kind of one category, one column. So it's going to say student, and I blocked out a lot of the information. So it says student, gives you their state ID, has a homeless reason code, and it tells you in parentheses here what was submitted by your local system. So it has a reason code of 02, and it tells you at what school. It tells you when it began on, but it has a blank homeless reason code. So you can go back and look into our user guides, or if you happen to know those in and out, you would be able to know how to fix this. So the problem here is that all of these students have a blank homeless code. So you would go back into your local system, type in that state ID that's listed here at the beginning, and ensure each of these students has a homeless code entered. Once you've done that, because of the automated process that your student data manager has done for you already, these files will go automatically. So when you log in tomorrow, you would expect in that bucket of homeless that these 9 students that you corrected, you wouldn't see this error anymore. So that's kind of what would happen. Eventually, at some point, you would get something similar to the one above it that says no data found, because all of the errors have been corrected and fixed. So I kind of wanted to show you what it's going to look like. Where you click, it's very easy to maneuver. If you ever see this emblem right here, this little box with the arrow, that means you can export this data. If you are someone that likes to look at data in Excel, I personally love it because I can throw filters on it. You can filter out anything in here, roster format. You can filter out using this button right here in Excel, CSV, or PDF. Those are your 3 options and choices that you can use to export this data to kind of be more user-friendly and really the way you work best with data as far as the format goes. So as we go down, once that bucket says no data found, you cleaned up all the errors, it's in your local system, it's been pulled in, and you've kind of done that piece, then you really want to go and help your student data manager validate that that information is clean. To do that, you're going to go to the data validation. So we lived in data quality to claim the errors. At some point, it's going to say no errors found, no data. We're going to come to data validation. When we do so, you'll see I've scrolled down just a little bit here. There's a special population section of the data validation report. It's going to list your homeless and your underage homeless. So you've got 2 categories to click on. You can click on this count 83 right here. Again, it does the same thing. It will produce you a roster, which you see here. It's going to give you the state ID, the LICID of the student. It's also going to provide you the local ID. So if you're someone that likes to search your system, your local system, by using the local ID and not the state ID, both of those options are there for you. Almost every single one of these rosters that you can download, that option's there because, again, each of you kind of search differently using your local system. It's going to give you partial data of the name. So it's just going to give you like the initial, going to tell you where the student's located, their grade, gender, race, and it's going to give you a couple more pieces of information towards the end here. At the very end of it, and I'm going to show you just a second, you'll see that the screen changed. So here I was at data validation, and when I selected this number 83 to see who's all counting towards homeless for this collection, it pulled me to here. It looks a little different. Don't worry, you can always hit the back button and it takes you back to the other screen. But I just wanted to show you that as a little nuance around the system. So here's my roster. Again, I can select this, export it in Excel, if you just like to look at it that way differently. And this is what it's going to tell you. It's always going to tell you which school system you're looking at. It's going to provide you the school system that you're reviewing. It's going to give you it in 3 different formats. You're going to have state ID and local ID. So what you saw before is just going to be the same thing here. These are the remaining fields that you couldn't see before on the prior screen. But here is then column I think this is probably going to be the most useful piece. You can filter out your 1s and 3s from this location. So it's going to give you all of your homeless that are of public school, and then those non-publics are going to be listed here if they're school age. So those are all going to be listed in this one. If I were to go back and I were to select, let's just say we had a count under the underage homeless section, and I were to select that button, it was going to upload this screen showing me all the underage that I selected. And I was to export that, you would expect that this homeless code would then be tagged as a 2. So we stated before, type 1 is public school, type 3 is non-public, really for disaster use only, and then type 2 is going to be your underage homeless student. So you could even take this if you're really good with formulas and wanted to look, if you knew you had 10 underage homeless, but you see 9 here, you could go back to your local system and do some kind of like investigative research to figure out which students not being pulled in. So that's all I have. I just wanted to show you kind of what it's going to look like for you and really kind of the screens that you'll work with the most in EdLink once you're given and granted access by your data manager or data security coordinator.
Tara, do you mind if I chime in just for a minute?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, this is Sherry. So I know Tara went through a lot of details on the data management portion, and Daisy's on. Thank you, Daisy, for doing the demo. But what I see is a lot of this work, you'll be assisting, for example, if you're in Caddo, you'll be assisting Daisy. You'll be assisting your data manager. I don't think the data manager is expecting you to go through the dashboards and maybe correct all of the errors, but to work with them, because that's really their job, to make sure the data is clean, to make sure the data is accurate and complete. So they may need your assistance. So for example, if you're the liaison at one school, they may actually send you a printout of that Excel and say, what's going on with this student? Why don't they have a LACID? And then, you work it from that. Or why don't they have a homeless reason? So we don't want you to get afraid of the system and think you're going to have to do a lot of technical things, but we will want you to work with your data manager, with the homeless staff at the department, and then your data managers will more or less work with us. So if they see errors, they can't figure them out, they'll come to us. If you see things that you're not sure about, you can go to your data manager. So again, I know we're showing a lot of technical pieces here, but we don't want you to get scared off and think you're going to be trudging through spreadsheets. We would like you to maybe request access through your security coordinators so that you can start to just look at the data. You can become familiar with the reports that are there. And I know a lot of times, you may get requests for data and you just don't have it. But you see here, once the data is clean, Daisy actually showed you what her counts were for Caddo. So if you need to run a report and somebody in your organization, and TIG was asking you for a number, even though these aren't final, but once they're final, that data is going to be there. So you can pull reports and do things like that. So we just appreciate y'all's patience with, looking at the dashboards. We've come a long way in 2 years, and we think they're going to be very, very beneficial to you. Tara, if you wouldn't mind maybe showing them that enrollment screen. I just want them to see kind of some of the other pieces of the dashboard. It's not necessarily dealing with homeless per se, but just showing you the capability. So if you see something and you would like some different homeless reports, we could put in a change request and we could get the dashboard team to maybe set that up for you, because we've got some nice reports and graphs and different things on the data. So just know that these dashboards are available. The data is there and it can be sliced in different ways if there's something that your school or your school system needs.
It's loading the whole state. So.
Oh, goodness. Just chosen one.
All right, Miss Daisy, I'm gonna still you for a second. Since you kindly volunteered.
So we know Daisy's data is going to be loaded up tomorrow because I know Keith corrected those errors right away. So she'll have her numbers and data there tomorrow. So again, if you need access, reach out to your security coordinator.
I wonder if I can make it a little bit smaller for you guys. That's not too small, huh? But this is just providing you graphs around the data that's collected, both historical data and moving into live data. So you can really get a trend going from several years back up to current time, specifically if you're looking at different pieces of data. So we have our enrollment and overall subgroup section. We also have graphs, and again, these all can be exported. We kind of have the general questions that get asked of us a lot. We're kind of built into these dashboards to answer questions like how many students count towards my funding counts. And so you can see over past several school years, you can see this data. As you scroll down, you can see students by each grade. It breaks students out by gender. Student diversity is listed here as well. It provides you a SPED population overview, English learner overview, and then also here is the homeless section. Is there anything you want to add to that, Ms. Sherry?
No, I think that looks great.
Yeah. So just kind of some very visual graphs for you guys to review.
Okay, thank you, ladies, so very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to share with us the intricacies of EdLink. And hopefully you guys are excited about what the system now offers, things that we didn't have before. And I'm most excited about the live count. You know, we can go in pretty much any day and not have to wait until like October 1 to see where your students are. So I'm super excited about that. So we are at time. However, we are going to send you guys over just some additional early childhood resources so that you would have them in place when you're working with identify your underage siblings, because we know we do need those in the system as well. So we'll just send those to you in our follow-up email. But as we conclude on today, I just wanted to provide a summary of next steps for everything that we covered today, because we know we covered a lot. So the first thing, you want to submit your planning worksheet by September 30th, and you'll send it to Laverne Dunn at la.gov. You want to ensure that your homeless students are flagged in SIS and services are entered in EdLink. The snapshot will be taken November 19th. Okay, so that's very important to make sure that your students are flagged. Ensure homeless liaisons and essential staff are registered for Mckinneyvento.org courses for professional development. Introduce yourself to your LEA's parent and family engagement coordinator to begin collaboration on the Be Engaged initiative. You want to be on the lookout for ARP Homeless 2 funding JOT form. Remember, we're going to send that to you by next Monday. Meet with your federal program director to discuss funding. And then you're going to respond by October 1st, letting us know if you're going to accept or reject the funding. Last but not least, you're going to send your intent to participate form to all here to enroll your LEA's homeless families to access Be Engaged by October 1st. So be on the lookout. The dates, October 1st, we wanted to keep them kind of consistent so you guys can remember, okay, something's due on this date. Let's get it in, as well as September 30th for your planning worksheet. As we conclude, are there any burning questions that we need to address right now at this very moment? If not, we would like to thank you guys so much for your patience with us on today as we share with you a lot of important information of how to best service our students experiencing homelessness. We thank you for your time and your commitment in spite of all of the challenges that we're facing here in Louisiana. Take care, and until next time, have a wonderful afternoon.